My name is Richard, and this is how God's redemption changed my life more than once. I didn't grow up going to church. In fact, to me, church was for marrying and burying. I didn't know anything different. When I was 12 years old, my life changed in a way that would shape me and change who I am. I started stuffing my feelings. I wouldn't talk to anybody about them. I stuffed my feelings with food and humor. By the time I was a young adult, I weighed over 350 pounds. Well, fast forward a few years, I married my high school sweetheart. We had 2 boys, and we were attending a local church. And after a few years of going to church, I started to believe Jesus was who he said he was. My faith in Jesus became so real that my wife and I both felt led to become full-time missionaries. In a little tiny country, you probably never heard of it, it's called Dallas, Texas. I was the manager of the IT department there. Dallas is the headquarters for Wycliffe Bible Translators, and so we had 8,000 members that would bring their computers to us all the time. And after 5 years as missionaries, God brought us back to California. And I had an opportunity to do something about my weight by having gastric bypass surgery. I remember the doctor saying something about addiction transfer, but well, I wasn't really addicted to anything, so I didn't give him much thought. Well, you don't weigh 400 pounds and not be addicted to something. Once food was no longer an effective coping mechanism, I turned to something else that would help silence the fears and the anger that was in my head. I started drinking. So what started out as an occasional drink soon turned into an addiction. And my life spun out of control. I was trying to do everything I could to stop drinking, except for dealing with the root cause of why I was drinking. Then God led us to a church that can be authentic, living with true, authentic believers that were honest about their issues that they dealt with. Because of that raw, infectious honesty, I was finally able to address the root of my addiction. After 38 years of stuffing my feelings, I finally told my wife something that I had never told anybody, something that I swore was going to go to the grave with me. I told her at the age of 12 years old I was kidnapped and molested. I was full of guilt and shame before I told my wife. And even coming out and telling her that, it was a freeing feeling. By becoming honest with people in my life and sharing my story with them in church, I felt acceptance, I felt freedom, I felt grace. I didn't feel the shame and condemnation that I thought I was going to feel. What was meant for evil, God used for good. Just like the killing of his own son, he used it for the salvation of mankind. This single act that was just so unconscionable is the very thing that led me back to trusting God. Most of my life, I ran from and hid behind, only to discover whatever I used was temporary and momentary. Well, the willingness to let God lead my life and the willingness to follow him really has blossomed my relationship with my wife and my kids. My wife and I have a relationship that I think a lot of people would be jealous of. We love each other very, very much. She supports me in everything I do, and I support her in everything she does. She's my biggest cheerleader. I'm in a true, authentic community of believers. We're in a couples life group that spurred off of our Re-Engage group. I'm a leader in regeneration. And I'm in a men's life group that creates a safe place for men to be real in the company of other men. Today I can enjoy the benefits of living a sober life. I have true freedom from the bondage that captured my heart and my mind. It's replaced with the love that can only come from God, replaced with forgiveness and restoration far beyond what I can imagine. I'm not saying my life is perfect, but I wouldn't change where I am and who I am for anything.